prior to the commencement of our board meeting and before calling the meeting to order, that a prayer be given. The board member who delivers the prayer may make reference to his or her own religious faith, just as you might refer to yours when offering a prayer. We wish to emphasize, however, that members of all religious faiths are welcome not only in these meetings, but in our community as well. The participation of all citizens in the process of self-government will help our Board of Supervisors to better serve the good people of Mecklenburg County. Mr. Wilkinson, I believe you have a prayer. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. Dear gracious, loving Heavenly Father, tonight we come to you with thanks, appreciation, and the desire to do your will. Lord, please be with all the families affected by the senseless tragedy of 9/11. 21 years ago yesterday, our country changed in many ways. Lord, please let us remember the sense of unity and American pride that terrible event brought. Let our country become united again and draw closer to you. Dear Lord, please be with everyone involved with the opening of our new middle and high school. Though there certainly will be some challenges, please let everyone work together for the greater good of our students and community. Lastly, Lord, please give this board wisdom to conduct the business of the county in a way that will be pleasing to you as well as beneficial to our citizens. In Jesus' name I ask, amen.
Amen. Thank you. At this time, I will call this meeting of the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors to order. Would remind you, if you would, please mute or turn off your cell phones so that we don't have those interruptions. Also want to emphasize our citizens' comments protocol. We do have a public hearing tonight and, of course, public comment session. Would remind you that each speaker will be given 3 minutes. The time limit will be strictly enforced. There's a timer light to the left of each speaker. When the green light turns yellow, the speaker has 1 minute remaining. When the yellow light turns red, the speaker's 3 minutes have elapsed. Citizens' comment is an opportunity for individuals to address the board. The board will not answer questions or engage in dialogue with any person addressing the board during citizen comments. If each speaker will provide his contact information, telephone number, email address, etc., on the sign-up sheet, county staff will follow up if necessary concerning matters addressed to the board by the speaker. Would you please stand now for our pledge to the flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right, you have in your packet the minutes of the meeting of August the 8th. If there are no corrections to those minutes, the chair will entertain a motion to approve them as presented.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to approve the minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. You have agenda before you. I do have 2 additions under the county administrator's report. Item 12 will be DEQ consent order. And item 13 will be transition agreement concerning rescue squads. Anyone else have anything they wish to add to the agenda at this time? If not, we need a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Mr. Chair, I so move.
Motion to adopt amended agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I will move on to our public comments. See if we have any sign-ups there.
We don't have any.
Okay, all right, no public comments, all right. All right, moving along, we have VDOT. Kevin, welcome.
Well, thank you. Good evening. How y'all?
Good.
Fine, how are you?
Doing well.
Good.
y'all should have got our monthly report in y'all's board packages. A couple things I want to hit on was give you a real rustic update. Reese's Dead End is now complete. Sweetwater Road, they're adding stone to it, and it should be paved within the next 30 days, weather permitting. Stanton River Road will be paving next week, weather permitting. Our second round of primary mowing's complete. We will be going back out later on this fall and do a cleanup cut and cut her all the way back. Contract mowers are working now in the county on secondary roads. The Route 660 paving is complete, waiting on line painting and shoulder stone to get that one finished up. And we also got a paving project going on in the town of Chase City. That's our monthly report, unless y'all have any questions for us.
Anybody have any
No,
questions?
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
all right. Next, Mr. Carter, I think you're going to handle this.
Yes, sir. We've been working with VDOT, as everyone who's been down 660. Earlier last year, it got destroyed, and we had to, I guess for a better word, tear it apart so we could fix it. It is about 3 foot wider now than it was, from Ridge Road all the way down to Greenmore Drive. It's a little over 3 miles. It is probably 3 feet wider than it was, basically. They did the soil cement. They've done 2 layers of asphalt, as he said. We will be using our Microsoft funds to pay for this. We need to reimburse the state. They have got to get us bills for everything. They just finished paving last week, so it'll be a little bit longer. We do, though, have to sign an agreement with VDOT, and there's a resolution in here for you all to approve, which authorizes payment of what their estimate was $1,676,552. We'll get the final bills and figure out from that, correct? You have the agreement here, which would need to be approved by the resolution and authorize staff to sign.
All right, hopefully you've had an opportunity to review that resolution. Any questions, any discussions on that matter?
I think anybody who's gone down that road will tell you those 3 miles are heaven now, even compared to what they were before. The rest of the road's real rough, and people are looking forward to how we could get from Greenmore to 47. But we'll be working next year on 92 back to Ridge.
All right. If there are no discussion or questions, or we need a motion to adopt this resolution, VDOT resolution.
Motion to adopt, Chair.
Motion to adopt the VDOT resolution as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Mr. Nichols, update on our schools. I don't see any battle scars on you, so might have been too bad of a day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We have had a good day. Despite all the rumors on social media, we were able to open school today. We were able to get the final certificate of occupancy complete on Friday. I think a lot of people were of the understanding that there were all types of problems when, in fact, it's a huge facility. There are many different components that have to be checked out. It's a process that any facility that large would go through. As far as, we find some things that need to be completed, and so we come back and we complete them and we look at it. It's the final things that happen. I've seen some things on social media that I go, who made that up? I don't have any idea where that type of thing came from. But we did complete it. Students came in today. It really did work out very well. There were some concerns that we had related to the intersection of the old highway and Highway 4 and 58 right there. That was particularly this afternoon, with a lot of support from our wonderful Sheriff's Department. We worked on a lot of those things, but we are very much of the opinion that if we could find a way to get the Highway Department to work with us on a traffic light, it would make a huge amount of difference. And so that's a goal that we have. There are some components of the new facility that are still being worked on. Just as an example, before anybody gets real excited, it's things like on the roof, when I say there's some issues on the roof, no, we're not having rain come in the roof from holes. It's vents that have to be put in that came in late. So there's people that are going to be seen on the roof working on vents that have to be put in. There's still some components that are on a container ship somewhere that are coming in that include lockers that need to be placed in the building, but you don't need to have lockers to have school. We've got some equipment still and things to be done to the auditorium. We have curtains that have yet to be put in place. We have sound equipment that needs to be put in and people trained on. But instruction is not going to be held up by things going on in the auditorium. I will say that we had, on the weekend of the first football game, we had over 600 persons that came for a variety on Friday afternoon and Saturday of tours, and to a person, they were all quite impressed and excited about what's being made available to our children, to our community, and to our, our whole county. As far as bringing the East and the West End together, working better together, being able to serve the tourism expectations, the academic expectations, the safety expectations, and so forth. So that was definitely our goal. I anticipate that we will probably be having persons working with the facility through much of the fall to get the entire punch list done. And of course, you know very well, a punch list is just the items that we find that still need to be taken care of. We also look around and we see that, as with probably any building, there are some components that may not have been done with the degree of quality that we would like, and so we are going back with the construction company and the subcontractors to say, this needs to be redone. Many people have expressed to me their concern about one particular evening outside light that leans kind of like the Tower of Pisa right now. It's not going to come down. It's going to be functional, but we got to get that fixed. That doesn't look good when you're looking at the front end of the building. So, there are things of that type that we will be working on for a while. But I will like to tell, and I will say again next Monday night, the workers that will be doing that are not going to be interfering with instruction. They will be doing things that are in places away from instruction. I went into the building today. I was in the building for quite a while. I saw one or two walking from one area to another, but most of that even was outside or on a roof or in an auditorium or somewhere away from students. And if they're in the facility, they're being chaperoned, and all of our contracts by state law with subcontractors and contractors insist that every person working in the presence of students be vetted for all background checks and things of that nature. So people are concerned, but we feel for sure that they're going to be safe. The students are going to be safe in the facility. Instructionally, we're excited because this really does put us in a position to move forward with the career exploration, the career preparation, workforce development with the 6 career academies. We are working, I think you probably have heard about the lab school program that the governor is promoting right now. And we are in the process of putting that in place with Southside Virginia Community College and the Higher Ed Center. I'm quite confident that's going to work out for us because the governor and the Secretary of Ed have already been down and said, you all are doing so much of what we're looking to be done. So that's very good for us. I am very anxious for people to be aware of the safety components, and so I put together a list here, and I'll pass this out for each of you to have a copy because people are always asking about safety. Of course, the primary goal of anything related to safety is that people remain diligent about what's going on around them. And if they hear of something to be anxious about, that they report it. But as we look at the planning of this facility and as we move on in looking at the planning for renovating the 3 older elementary schools, and as we also look at South Hill Elementary School, which was built in 2005 before some of this, there have been grants each year that have been available to us to help develop more security. And so these are things that are in our current middle high school program, and they're items that are being planned in the new renovations of the elementary schools, and to the degree that is possible, and most of these will be very possible, at South Hill Elementary School as well. So I'll just go through a few of these. First of all, I do want to say to you and to the Sheriff's Department and to Wayne, we're very grateful that we will have school resource officers, 2 in the middle school, 2 in the high school, and this year, 1 in each of the elementary schools. So that's a huge blessing for us that we're very, very thankful for. And our school administrators hold annual meetings working with emergency services, not just the Sheriff's Department, but with the rescue squads, the fire departments, and others, in making sure that everybody has updated emergency service plans and the staff and students follow carefully planned exercises to practice for those situations. The new facility has got cameras, as well as the elementary schools, not quite as many, but cameras in almost every, well, in the new facility, there's not a place other than the classroom and bathrooms that is not covered by cameras, with good-sized screens like that both the SROs and administration can be constantly watching what's going on. Now, that's not to say that the SROs are in the class, in their offices watching a screen all day. They're out in the schools as well. But we are watching, videoing, continuing to monitor things that are going on at all times. All of the administrators and SROs are equipped with metal detection wands, and we have in the athletic facility the metal detector booths that you walk through in order to be able to get in. That slows down traffic going into the facility a little bit, but safety is what we're very anxious about, and so that's very important. One of the most important things is the next item. All interior and exterior doors are to be locked at all times. The teachers have badges that allow them into those doors, okay? Right now, we could have badges for all of our students, but badges can be lost, and so we're trying to see how things work with the teachers controlling that type of thing. Any door that's open for more than 15 seconds, an alarm goes off in the administrator's office and with the SRO so that they can go check out why a door is unlocked. From the perspective of the experts, locked doors are one of the most critical components of any safety feature. And so that's not just for the classrooms, that's also in every section of the building, upstairs sections, downstairs section. And we have a very new technology that is in place that is able to detect, and I'm hearing more and more about this technology even on the news. It's able to detect the sound of a boom and determine whether it's a car backfiring or a classroom experiment that's gone wrong and caused some slight explosion, or whether it's a gunshot. And if it is of danger, that technology is actually able to make sure that all of the doors in the various areas will close and be locked so that we can keep sections taken care of, and it goes automatically to 911, and they too have access. The police all over the place have access to that, and to where people are and the cameras and what's going on. So administration and SROs have the ability to lock down classrooms, specific areas of the school in the case of any type of an emergency. All of the doors, and there are much more limited doors. We have to have doors, of course, for fire exit opportunities in critical places, but there are fewer places for people to enter. Even the outside areas have walls and gates that are available to protect from persons coming in. And the entrances all have the man-trap areas that someone would be buzzed in, but they can't get into the school unless they go through and are appropriately vetted by administration to know why they're there and what they have going on. And the SRO's offices are right near those types of things. And the entrances have also been designed for protection from gunshots, wayward vehicles, and things of that nature, so they can't just crash in. And then when we look at the technologies, All of the technologies have been fitted with the latest equipment to keep from being, as best we can, from being hit with any types of viruses and things like that to knock us down. So we watch for that all the time. And there are a couple of other technologies that are there, a couple of other types of safety features that we don't necessarily want to advertise because we don't. But these are some critical ones that we're glad for people to know about. And at this point, I'm told by experts in the state that it's one of the safest schools in the nation with some of the technologies that we have. So we don't say that to let our guard down. We simply say that because we want people to know we've done everything we can to make sure that the students in the building are going to be as safe as possible. So we feel like we're making good progress. We thank you for your ongoing support with it. We're looking forward to working with you on the elementary renovations. And if you have questions, I'm here to answer them.
I guess when the students are entering the building, I guess somebody could enter the building if the student's posing as a student.
Everywhere that students enter the building has got people monitoring them.
Okay.
And so you get to know the students.
Right.
You're working with them all the time. I mean, even this morning, I recognized our SROs recognizing students, calling them by name. If anybody was being, and I'm thankful to say, it appears that we're having a significant increase in numbers of persons who are coming, who have never been registered with us before and are registering to come to school with us. So I won't have ADM numbers until the end of September, for sure, because that's when we first report. But it looks like our numbers are increasing because people are very interested in coming. And so that's a good thing. But as they come, you know, even principals, teachers, administrators are all saying, wait a minute, you know, if I don't know you, who are you? Right. Where are you supposed to be? You don't just come in the building. You have to go through this door in order to be able to get in.
Right. Okay. All right. Couple of really frivolous things.
Okay.
I'm curious, what was the head count for the first football game? You know? We have, I believe, the limit on the football field in that arena is 2,500.
Okay. Okay. After 2,500, by law, because we have room for roughly 2,500 on the bleachers, and so we can't have more than what the bleachers can hold safely.
Right.
Okay. After that, we had to turn people away.
Right.
And I would tell you, I believe we had 500 or more people that were outside of the gate watching and looking and gawking to get in.
I think that's true. Well, with that in mind, when I was coming into the game and parked my car, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find my car when I leave here or not. And I realized that crowd was, you know, exceptional, of course. But is there any way you can label those sections, put something up on the pole that says section A, B? I mean, I'm serious.
I hadn't thought about it. It's a good idea. We'll ask about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And the other thing was, see if you can give some relief to those people up in that press box. That thing, you talk about hot. Oh, my Lord. Give them a fan or something up there. I mean, I went up in there and it was like an oven.
I had halftime up there too, and it was.
But I tell you, I got to tell you, it was a real thrill to sit there at that first football game and see those crowds, and that had to set some kind of record for athletic attendance in Mecklenburg County. I mean, it really did. But it was just, you know, to see everybody so supportive and these two schools coming together, and it was, you know, it was just a real treat.
It was very rewarding. The game that we had this past Friday night, there was a good number of people on the visitor stands. I think that's probably more typical of what we'll be seeing. And we had over 2,000 people at that game as well, because we have the counters on the metal detectors as people.
Oh, you
come in.
did? You had, oh, wow. That's fantastic.
I mean, we didn't fill everything up.
Yeah.
Across the field, I mean, they were from Stanford, North Carolina, so they didn't begin to fill up the visitor section. But
Right.
our stadium was very full.
Fantastic. All right.
And-
Anybody else good?
Yeah, you know, I was, of course, at the game too. The concession area, the two places where you can get food and everything else, the lines were just ridiculously long. You know, I know we're not going to have that turnout every game, but if we know we've got a rival or get some rivalries going and it's going to be packed, you said the second game still had 2,000. Could we set up some little portable thing with bottled water and stuff like that? We could, you know, just a little portable stand over to the side that somebody just wants to get some water. But it was hot.
You know, it's another one of
Drinks
those
or
things
something.
we're
Just
learning,
something you
to
throw
some
in.
degree, we're learning to adapt to a problem we never had before.
Right.
Charles, they also only had one side open. There are actually four openings for the concessions. They only had one side of it. So actually,
Well, I was
that's-
wondering because it was just two right there, you know. At
Yeah, so
50-yard
they weren't
line,
operating but at half the system. So they should have probably had both of them open.
And part of that is, again, because we haven't been able to get the full occupancy permit for all of that facility. We've got some work yet to be done in the restrooms in that facility. So, you know, we're building it. You heard this old saying, you build the ship while you're traveling on it. We're still building some of the components and getting used to them, but we'll work those things out.
Oh, talking about the concession stands, who runs that? Did it teachers? I mean, who's
The-
doing that kind of stuff?
We're very thankful that in the past we've used the booster clubs to run, and they again are looking to run that as a way of raising funds to support the athletics, as well as I think the band is also looking to have some options there. And that's somewhat of a limitation. You know, how much support, they're going to have to build support to keep those things manned as well. And they want to be able to produce quality, not just throw out whatever. I think what people have gotten has been pretty good quality cooked on the grill right there and whatnot. You can only cook so fast. So, but we're working on it.
Anything else?
I'm
Thanks.
sorry I won't have monthly reports to bring to you with pictures of development and everything.
Yeah.
for
No,
about a year.
we're sort of pleased with that, Al.
You can bring us a report of what went wrong this month.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, Economic Development Report, Mr. Jones?
The Economic Development Committee met on Monday, September the 12th, 2022 at 5:45 p.m. Board of Supervisors Meeting Room in Boardman, Virginia. Members present, Charles Jones, Chairman, and Tom Tanner. Others present, Glenn Barber, David Brankley, Claudia Lundy, Sterling Wilkinson, Andy Hargrove, Wayne Carter, County Administrator, Alex Gottschalk, Deputy County Administrator, Angie Kellett, Economic Development Director. Chairman called the meeting to order. Mr. Carter reviewed the bid received for the Hillcrest Campus Water Supply Contract B-1 MG Ground Storage Tank. One bid was received from Mid-Atlantic Storage Systems at a cost of $1,039,941. But a motion by the committee, it was unanimously voted to accept that bid. I'd like to put that form in a motion for the full board, that we accept this bid of $1,039,941 for the Hillcrest water supply tank.
All right, you've heard the motion, any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. I believe that was it.
That was it. I was just noticing that oh, there it is. I didn't
Okay.
see that.
All right, thank you, sir.
Any other further business? Committee adjourned.
Okay. Landfill, Mr. Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The landfill committee met on Monday, September 12, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. in the Board of Supervisors meeting room. Members present, Sterling Wilkinson, Chairman, David Brankley, Claudia Lundy. Also present, Glenn Barber, Charles Jones, Andy Hargrove, Tom Tanner, Wayne Carter, County Administrator, Judy Sheffield, Assistant County Administrator, Alex Gottschalk, Deputy County Administrator. Mr. Wilkinson called the meeting to order. Mr. Carter presented a quote for a 2024 Peterbilt 567 tandem axle chassis X15 engine with a Galbraith 60K roll-off body using the Sourcewell pricing contract. This engine is larger than the others that were quoted, but most importantly, this one has a Cummins engine that local mechanics can get the appropriate software to work on it. The quoted cost is $245,996. The county spent approximately $71,892 just in tipping fees in fiscal year 2022 by contracting out this service at our convenience centers. Upon a motion of Mrs. Lundy, the committee voted unanimously to recommend purchase of the 2024 Peterbilt 567 tandem axle chassis X15 engine with a Galbraith 60K roll-off body for a cost of $245,996. I'd like to pause here and bring that as a motion to the full board.
All right. Thank you. You've heard that motion. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Carter presented a quote for a 2024 Peterbilt on a 520 chassis with a 40-yard Easy Pack Hercules body using the Sourcewell pricing contract. This is a similar unit to what the county has purchased for a number of years. The quoted cost is $318,109. Upon a motion of Mr. Brinkley, the committee voted unanimously to recommend purchase of the 2024 Peterbilt on a 520 chassis with a 40-yard Easy Pack Hercules body for a cost of $318,109. I'd like to bring that in the form of a motion to the full board.
Okay. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
And there was no further business, and the meeting was adjourned.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Mr. Gottschalk, you want to talk to us about this occupancy tax amendment?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. So if North Carolina was playing at Virginia Tech this year, which they're not, they're playing in Chapel Hill, but let's say they were, the first thing I would do, and I want to go to this game, and I don't really want to drive back from the New River Valley down here to Mecklenburg County. Maybe it's a 7:30 game, maybe it's 3:30 and ends at 7:30. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open my phone, go to the Priceline app, and look up hotels in Blacksburg or Salem or Roanoke, and I'll book one. The price, say it's $200 for the night. Well, if you actually broke that price down, Priceline there's going to be a base cost for the hotel. Then there are going to be a Priceline fee that gets added on top of that to come up with the amount that I'm going to pay. Before 2021, the Virginia Department of Taxation ruled that the only amount that could be captured in terms of tax revenue was the amount that the room charge itself was. So this, let's say of the $200, it was $170. The other $30 that I'm paying, which I think I'm paying for the hotel, was not taxable for local governments. In 2021, Senator Tommy Norment carried legislation to change that, to make it so that both the sales and use tax as well as the transient occupancy tax would be applied to that full amount that I would pay as the consumer for this hotel room. The purpose is because local governments in the Commonwealth of Virginia were losing out on revenue that would have otherwise been generated. What this language would do would change the Mecklenburg County ordinance to mirror the language that has now been adopted by the Commonwealth of Virginia for both the retail sales and use tax as well as the authority granted to localities to charge the transient occupancy tax. That's the primary purpose. Now, that legislation was amended in this previous session of the General Assembly with an effective date of October 1st, based on some lessons learned in the first year, mainly around remittance of the tax. What the Norment legislation in 2021 had imposed was that it would have to be, Priceline would have to pay the hotel the cost of the equivalent cost of the tax, and then the hotel would have to remit it to us. In this session, Delegate Chris carried legislation that would make it so that Priceline itself would pay us directly, or Virginia or whoever they were paying money to, Montgomery County in my example. So we added a section in our ordinance to allow that remittance practice to mirror the Code of Virginia. The other changes that this language would accomplish would be, number one, the Commonwealth of Virginia has decided to call everything accommodations now. Previously, lodging, I believe, was the term of art in this field, but now everything is going to be accommodations. So we are now changing our language to call out everything as accommodations. The second change that is encompassed in here is to make our reference to the state code so that if the General Assembly goes back now in 2023 and changes the language for a third successive year, we don't have to come back and amend it. The language of the code will prevail and automatically be pulled into our code of ordinances to govern our practices. So all this does is to take what we have, and we hadn't amended our ordinance since 2013, so we didn't have any of these changes captured, and pair it up with the authority that is now in state code. So what we are asking for tonight, because this is a tax change, we're going to ask for the board to make a motion for a public hearing next month. We'll have a public hearing, and then we would adopt the ordinance thereafter, rather than taking action on it this evening.
Okay. All right. Anybody got any questions on this? So essentially what we're doing tonight is just approving to go to a public hearing. Mm-hmm. Anybody got any? So is there any way to, I guess there's no way to audit whether or not we get the money we're supposed to be getting, is it? Is that any way, do we
I think this is an Ed
defer
question.
to Ed for sure on that.
Yeah.
There is, and what we can do is require that the accommodation company show their worksheets. In fact, when they submit their their remittances each month, we have a sheet that they have to provide us, and it shows their revenue, the 5% tax, and we can audit them if we see fit.
Most of these are houses, would you not agree here?
Most of them are houses.
How does that work on a VRBO?
Yeah.
And we have some VRBO, not a lot, but some. And we're constantly monitoring social media to find out where they are. You'd be surprised how they show up on Facebook and other social media platforms. So, yes, we do track
I guess
them.
what I was thinking about, Ed, was, if you collect sales tax, you have to apply to the state of Virginia for a sales tax number.
Right.
And that way the state can, and you have to file a report every month whether you collect any sales tax or not.
We don't collect the sales tax, but
Now, I understand it. But
I know you're making a
What I'm
point.
saying is, we wouldn't require them to get some kind of an ID number from the county so that we could track them by making them file a report with us every month, like they do sales tax.
Well, we probably can.
I don't know if it's worth it.
I hear by way of the grapevine that there's a movement by some localities, larger localities, to do that. Virginia Beach as an example, Charlottesville is another example. It becomes a little administrative heavy to do that.
And I'm not trying to create any
I know you
more.
know. I know.
And we have some people who just rent their houses individually. That's why Ed has to go online. How much did we budget this year for income? Was it 70? I mean, it's been steadily going up. I can remember when it was like 7,000, and we thought we had done good. And it just continues to increase every year because these houses are worth so much at the lake for people just to spend a week.
Virginia Beach does have
Okay.
Virginia Beach does have a registration process that you would go through. Now, not everyone adheres to it, and that's part of the challenge. Is you're constantly trying to enforce to see who has registered and who hasn't registered.
Right.
But there is a registration process that goes through the Commissioner of the Revenue's office. There is also now in Virginia Beach a 200. This is one of the last things that I did was was worked on. This was a $200 short-term rental fee to help pretty much pay for planning inspectors, so that zoning enforcement. For all the people who are complaining about, excessive parties, too much parking, all this other stuff. Right. So there are mechanisms in place, but as Ed said, it's a constant struggle to check that everybody has filed.
Sure.
And so is there some value to having the people on file? Yes, because then you can contact them if there's problems. You have a point of you had to have somebody who was in the local vicinity who was the point of contact, so that way you immediately could reach someone. But at the same time, there was still a lot of market scanning to figure out who else was out there who was not abiding by the registration laws.
Well, I know, believe it or not, there's houses down on Lake Gaston that are renting for $10,000 and $12,000 a week.
Yeah.
A week?
And
a week.
yes, sir. And the reality is they're large houses, but we make 90,000. Okay, we allow this in any of our subdivisions anywhere by right. If you have a rental house, we don't care if it's 1 week or 1 year. Brunswick County does not allow any of these rentals at all anywhere in the county. So we're making 90,000 a year because we have 2 lakes, and there are. I mean, I can remember people 20 years ago in Merrifield who were renting houses for $5,000 then.
Oh yeah,
or close to 15 years ago, yeah, for a week, and 15 years ago that was a lot of money. So yes,
yeah,
there are houses on Gaston. You make a good point. We receive monthly reports from these individuals as well as companies that they contract, realtors, actually, and I mean it's surprising the number of 10 and 12 bedroom homes on these lakes. It's incredible.
Well, I'm familiar with a family that. Well, they just sold it, but the house they had on Lake Gaston last year grossed $180,000 in rents.
Yeah,
that's just one house. So
now, having said that, playing devil's advocate, we're going to have more and more complaints for these large mega houses, I call them, that you've got $10,000, $12,000 weekend rental fees or weekly rental fees, and they bring in lots of people, and they party heavy. And so the neighbors are starting to get upset, and I think you're going to probably see a movement among some homeowners associations that they're going to pass ordinances that they're going to limit it.
Right.
Now, while zoning ordinance might
eliminate it altogether,
might say it's okay, but the HOA takes preference.
Right.
And, I mean, they can shut them down if they want to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a reality.
Right.
But right now, our ordinance doesn't address that part, and we're staying away from it.
Okay.
But just something to think about. It's coming.
Okay. So, all right. Any more questions on this amendment? So we need a motion then to allow staff to advertise to hold a public hearing, presumably next month, right?
Yes.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right. We have a motion to allow staff to advertise for a public hearing on this amendment. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right. All right, Mr. Carter.
Okay. We have our building permit report for the month. As you can see, permits were well up as well as the amounts. We had a lot of permits out at Microsoft. We never know when those are going to exactly hit, but our fees also were up considerably this month. And Eddie, I mean, I was talking to a contractor last Sunday, a week ago, and as he said, I'm signing contracts for houses that I won't have finished for 2 years. He said, that's how long the wait is. 2 years. And that's actually, for many contractors I've spoken to, it's no longer a 1 year wait. It's a 2 year wait. So this wave is still going. Okay. Zoning permits, again, E&S permits are up. And we continue. I think Robert said today he has 9 commercial ENS permits that he has to go out and inspect after every rain, et cetera. Animal Warden's report, we were able to adopt out over 2/3 of our animals or return them to the owner, so we're happy about that. Sheriff's report. The sheriff for August, they went out and had 3,000 different items that they did. You also have now the code section where they have written the tickets, and you've got the number of tickets in this, and we're almost at 400 this month. I think he had a lot of officers today out at the school with the lights on, trying to get everybody to slow down to the 35 zone. So that with the blinking lights, hopefully we can get people used to that now. Questions on those? You've got mental health report. Behavioral health. So we've got that. We've got the board electronic policy. Last month, y'all didn't take any action on it. And I don't know since you've got 2 members here tonight, if you want to postpone that till next month or not.
Yeah, I think, one or two of the members that aren't here tonight, want to discuss that further. So I would suggest to the board that we postpone that, taking action until next month, if that's agreeable.
Okay. Next, you have a letter from the state historical marker. The marker between Lunenburg and Mecklenburg on one side has come down, and our side, if y'all want to still participate in this program, our cost for replacing both markers would be $33.70. We would pay for this out of multi-purpose. We've never had this before. The last time it was discussed ever was at Halifax on 58, but nothing ever happened on theirs. They didn't have, no one from their side wanted to pay for half. Do y'all want to pay for half and have historical markers coming into the county still, I guess is a question.
These are already there and they need to be fixed.
Yes. Mm-hmm. One of them I know is there. The last time I went through there, it's been a while. I can't say it on both sides, but you've got what she's got on the information. Their historical society, we just don't have one, I don't think, anymore, the historical society. So I've never heard who's in charge of it.
I don't know of one either.
All right, so can I get that in the form of a motion for us to
Share the
spend
cost.
$33.70 for our half?
They are old. I mean,
Yeah, I think if they're willing to do it, that I'll make that a motion that we do that for our part of it.
All right, we have a motion to do our share of $3,370. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you.
We'll take care of that. Next, I think it's Sandra for the Treasurer's Office and the Unclaimed Property Call event.
Yes, I was contacted by the Department of Treasury about a month or so ago. As most of you are aware, there is a program that the state runs called Unclaimed Property. Glenn, I'm sure you're very familiar with it. Everyone has to turn into the Department of Treasury money that they have that has not been claimed. And according to the Department of Treasury, they have a lot of money that they hold for people. The process is currently you can go online and you can submit a claim. What I was told, and which I'm sure is true by the lady who contacted me, is there's a lot of elderly people who don't do that. Of course, in rural Southside Virginia, there are a lot of people that don't even have internet access. So they had called and asked me if I would participate with them and help them just advertise the event. They are going to do it all themselves. They will have a toll-free number that you can just call. They will have people manning these phone lines, and then they will help our citizens file their claim for unclaimed property. And they were just asking that my office participate and advertise, which the papers have so graciously stated that they will do that as a public service announcement. We have also advertised it on our county website. Also, we are advertising it within our office. We have flyers and telling people when they come in what it is all about. And so wanted to include it in the board packet tonight so that all of you would be aware of it. So if someone contacts you, you will have some understanding of what's going to happen. And basically, they can just call the toll-free number that's advertised. Someone will be on the other end at the Department of Treasury to walk them through filing a claim so that if they do have unclaimed property, they will be able to get it. Any questions?
Question? All right. Very good.
The service for our citizens.
Very good.
Is it the U.S. Treasury or the state of Virginia?
State of Virginia.
Virginia Department of Treasury.
Okay, two things. Wanted to update you all on our VATI grant application. We did an application this time with Empower. It was ourselves, Lunenburg, Halifax, not Lunenburg, Charlotte, Halifax, Brunswick, and Greenville County this time. We added Greenville also to it. Trying to get as large an area map as we could. There is some money again available. Our share on the percentages using what we did last time is going to be $300,000 because we have much fewer passes. What we're trying to fill in are the spots that were left open in the other CAF 2 and RDOF grants. Because the previous grants would not allow you to use those, we're trying to fill in the holes. Okay, so that's throughout all 5 counties now. Okay, so our 300 would come out of our ARPA funds, right. And then we're still going to use some of those ARPA funds also to equip the new SROs, while the grant will pay for their salaries and retirement and everything else. It's not going to be able to buy 4 cars because I believe the cars went up. I heard a quote went up 25%.
25% on the car and 23% on the equipment, so 48%.
Yeah, so this year our cars are going to be a lot more expensive. So we're going to have to get our 4 out of this so we can fill back in. And we can look at that, but we'll use up. We have to dedicate all of our ARPA funds by the end of the year, and we'll probably be using that towards this equipment, et cetera.
As far as the VATI stuff, I know we're filling in some of the holes, but the other places that other groups like River Street and stuff like that had blocks that they were already supposed to be doing, have they done anything with those?
No, not that I've heard of at all.
I just wanted, I'd seen a couple vehicles in South Hill that had River Street.
Was it River Street or River Works or something? Because they're working for the co-op. They're working on Old Cox right now for the co-op, going in and replacing lines on that road. Okay. So it's, I don't know if it's River Street or River City. That's it. Thank you so much. Yes.
But I just know there were some blocks that
that's what
we still weren't getting anything out of.
That's what we're trying to fill in with this one.
Okay.
That was the goal this time, was to go in and see what we had left in CAF 2, RDOF, and go back in and try to fill them in. We hope, because of the fact that we're over in 3 different planning districts, 5 counties, 2 Go Virginia regions, that there were a lot less applications, and we're probably one of the largest ones out there still. So we're trying for that.
And can we get somebody from Empower maybe between now and the end of the year to come give us an update?
They will, and we'll be having monthly updates. We did not this month because they were trying to get the grant in. They'll be giving us monthly updates, and I'll be able to share those with you all, and we're going to be able to put those also on our website. But there's some parts that they don't want to give away, yes, they're actually going to have that so each one of the counties can give it to our boards each month. That was one of the things we wanted. But that'll be coming probably next month.
Sounds good.
Okay? Next on that, WW Moore refund. We're getting back this year $73,634.55. We would like to put that back into that line item. So if y'all would, we just want to let you know that. Just wanted on that. Next, we have the Dominion transmission lines. I've sent y'all different routes, and I know I've gotten comments from Ms. Lundy and Tom on the route going around from Unity Station 1. It is that route on the western side, if I'm not mistaken, and that's the one that catches Whittlesville, that you can see, that y'all want that moved. You also have the routes coming throughout. If you have any comments about the rough locations of these, please let me know on these. That is for the 3 projects around South Hill and La Crosse. And then I've got a new one in here, David, this really kind of affects you more than I think most people, where they're coming off of the Finneywood substation that's going to be built and coming down and around trying to get back towards Clarksville and Lakeside Industrial Park. The lady on this one is calling me about every day to find out our comments, and I'm like, I just got it a couple of days ago, and I wanted to send it to you all. You all can give me back your comments, and then I'll tell her where we stand on it. I'd like for you really, those 3 routes really run through your district, David. So please take a look at that and let me know if you have any concerns whatsoever. Okay? Any of the rest of y'all, if you have any concerns on any of these routes, Glenn, Tom, Ms. Lundy, please let me know, because the first 3 kind of come across y'all, and the last one comes on David Hibberly.
Yeah, because actually this map you included in our packet, it has more of a proposed route for each one. Yes. The western route for the Unity line, and and I didn't know from the letter that they sent also, because when they were at the meetings, they said that the Heritage line and the Unity line, that they actually needed both at some point, and I don't know whether they're still looking at doing both or.
I think from a redundancy standpoint, yes.
Okay.
Okay, if they build all these and build them out, having everything on 1-230 is, I mean, because what they've got, like, for example, at the Boynton campuses, you got twin 115s now that they moved onto the one line. They're going to put a 230 beside it, which is going to be on the westerly, southern side of it. So that'll come in for that. That'll serve all 4 campuses here. But they've got then they got two 230s, right, because you got the twin 115s and that. I think that's what they're looking for everywhere, is at least to have a couple of 230s, because the 115 is not big enough to run when they build out these things. It's so massive. Right. You'll have more redundancy than most anything else, and that's probably also going to help you with future sites.
Because I noticed too where they had the substation interconnect route kind of around South Hill, it kind of stayed to the northern side more than it did the southern alternate route. So yeah, but that works. Like I said, my main concern is what I sent you with the area around Whittles Mill, that they kind of stay away from that area as much as they can.
And your comments about the old town burn site. Okay. But please, any of the rest of you, if you know of anything with regards to those, let me know in the next couple of weeks so I can get this back to them as they try to do their planning. Okay. Okay. DEQ consent order. Okay. DEQ came. Sandra would like for y'all to approve a supplemental appropriation for the W.W. Moore refund, if someone would be glad to do that.
So move, Mr. Chairman, that we approve that.
Okay, we have a motion to appropriate the W.W. Moore refund. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I got to keep her happy.
She'll keep you straight.
Yeah, I got to keep her happy. Name's on a paycheck. Okay. Next, DEQ came back last June and did an audit review of Robert's E&S program. We just got the report 2 weeks ago, so it's only taken them 14 months to get it to us, 15. There were some areas of concern, 7 especially, but for the most part, some of it was about Avery and the approval process. So he's gone over what was wrong on that. We also have inspections. As Robert said, we have 9 commercial sites with more coming. When he does those, every time there's a rain, he's supposed to be out there within 48 hours. Plus, then he has to do the inspections on the single family on certain time periods. We do have another inspector. We're going to be interviewing for in the next couple of weeks. So that should take care of that, and that's what we told the state. It's in the budget. We got to get them on and get them trained. And finally, we have some changes that need to be done to our code because some state law code stuff changed. So he'll be doing that. But that's it. I will be signing the consent order. Just want y'all to know what's going on. Okay? It wasn't anything drastic, but but that's just for more informational purposes. Finally, Andy, you know, when we had the discussions about taking over both Mecklenburg and Shea City Rescue, when we met with the state, one of the things we have to have is that memorandum of transition so that we can become taking over their materials. I just got this from John literally at 5 o'clock today. This is for Mecklenburg. I should have, he said, Shea Cities. And basically what this is looking at is how the equipment comes over to us, actions that the squad will take, what the actions the county's doing in preparation for it, when all this will take place, also how things will go with the budgeting, et cetera, so that he can submit this to the Office of Emergency Services to the state. So I just want y'all to know we are still moving forward on those projects. We should have this done by next week. Okay?
Yeah, we met last Friday.
Okay. Just want to make sure everybody knows where we're moving forward on that. Okay. And that's all I have.
All right. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. You have in your packet the RRSA minutes, June and August. That's for informational purposes. We do have some appointments to address tonight. Ms. Lindsay Carroll, who serves on the Industrial Development Authority, has resigned. Her term expires September 30, 2023. We do have a resume from Chad Barber that would like to serve on that board. So we need a motion to...
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Mr. Chad Barber for this position on the IDA.
And we have a motion to appoint Chad Barber to fill the unexpired term on the Industrial Development Authority. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The term of Ms. Jennifer Bowen on the Lake Country Area Agency on Aging Board expires September 30, 2022. She is not eligible for reappointment. Lake Country has forwarded 2 biographies. Mr. Tanner was one of them.
One of those, Mr. Chairman, when they contacted me about this board, I asked them that they have anybody else at the time, and they said they didn't. But of course, now we have Dr. Stephen Bailey from South Hill, who is also in consideration. So I will withdraw my consideration from this board, and I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Mr. Bailey.
Dr. Bailey.
If he's willing to do it.
All right. All right, we have a motion then to appoint Dr. Bailey to the Lake Country Area Agency on Aging Board. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The term of Dr. Hudson on the Welfare Board expired August the 30th. He is not eligible for reappointment. I think we have a...
You have a resume of Mrs. Walker.
Ms. Walker, Ms. Corrine Walker, to serve on that board. So do we have a motion to appoint Mrs. Walker?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to appoint Ms. Corrine Walker to the Welfare Board.
Okay, we have a motion to appoint Mrs. Corrine Walker to the Welfare Board. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The term of Ms. Avella Hutchison on the Southside Behavioral Health Board expired on June the 30th. She is eligible for reappointment. I'm assuming she's willing to serve. Anybody know?
I think
Said
she
it
would.
different.
Yeah, right.
She's-
Right, she ain't said no, so.
Speak now, forever hold your peace.
I nominate her. I think she will.
Do we have a motion to reappoint Mrs. Hutchison?
I know her. Yeah.
All right, we have a motion to reappoint Ms. Hutchison. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
She is the treasurer.
All right, you have your, in the package, the consent calendar. If there are no corrections or questions concerning that, the chair would entertain a motion to adopt the consent calendar as presented.
Stand.
So, my turn.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
Motion to adopt consent calendar is presented. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Yeah, no.
All right, Mr. Slayton, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Yes, sir. Charles and Deidre Sutton own lots 3 and 3A in a subdivision in Palmer Springs, a magisterial district. They're separated by a road which the county owns. You remember that. They need an easement to go under the road to transport sewage from the house they're building on 3 to the septic drain field on 3A. You've routinely done this in the past. In the deed the county prepares, the Suttons have to sign to indemnify the county from any loss or claim on if they damage the road. And in addition, the HOA for the subdivision joins in to indemnify the county. So there's very little risk, if any, to the county. But we do need, by Virginia law, to conduct a public hearing on the request. So I would ask if you would do that now, Mr. Chairman.
All right, at this time, we will open the public hearing to consider the conveyance of an easement to Charles and Deirdre Sutton. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter come forward at this time? All right, seeing no one, declare the public hearing closed.
At this point, I would ask the board to adopt the resolution which was presented to you, which would grant the easement and authorize the county administrator to sign the deed. I would remind you, the deed will not be delivered to them for recordation until they've signed the indemnification and the HOA has.
All right, do I have that motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we have a motion to, for the conveyance of the easement. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, there's a property that is needed by the county as a part of the expansion of the county's office building here. It's owned by Mrs., I think it's pronounced Wayne Ghanem. Ghanem. It's lot 37 Jones Road, or Jones Lane, but it's right behind the building next to us. It's under contract to the county. It's long been the practice of the county to use its IDA to facilitate these transactions. So what is before you is an assignment of the county's contract rights in that house to the IDA, and the IDA will move forward with closing. So the staff's recommendation is that you adopt the resolution transferring, assigning all of the county's rights in the contract to the county's IDA.
Okay. We need a motion to adopt that resolution.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion to adopt the resolution approving conveyance of that easement. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Okay.
Is that it? All right. Okay. That brings us to board member matters. Mr. Jones, why don't you start?
Yeah. Not a lot to say. Except welcome school season coming back, getting that boy moving, doing something instead of laying around on his phone and TV and everything else. So I'm just glad school's back in session. And of course, that's to me is like kick off the fall. I look forward to, after all the heated summer, to having the fall atmosphere and football games and everything going on. And I hope everybody shares in that. And obviously, we're getting a good turnout at the school for the football games, even though our team's kind of struggling a little bit right now. But, you know, we look for great things to combine these two schools. And that's about it. Thanks to me.
Mr. Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have a lot either. Again, glad to see the school back in motion. Again, so much to be proud of there. You can say that again and again. You know, thankful for Mr. Nichols and his leadership to getting us to this point. One thing I would like to say is about this intersection, and Mr. Nichols alluded to the traffic light, or the non-existence of one, I should say. You know, their argument, VDOT's argument, is that it's a rural road, you know, they don't want to impede traffic. I don't see how that's valid at all if you go to the east of that. It's at least 20 stoplights or more between that and Virginia Beach per se. So, I mean, that's invalid. There has to be other reasons. And before something tragic happens, I would like, and I'm sure we've exhausted all we can, but we really have got to press on somebody at VDOT or at the state level. And I know we've talked to the governor, Mr. Nichols has. I don't know how much higher you can go from that, but we really have got to press this issue before something tragic happens.
Well, you know what to say, squeaky wheel gets the grease, so maybe we just worry them to death.
I guess so. But I like their signage. There's plenty of signs. You can't miss it to slow down.
Right.
But you're still dealing with new drivers, large buses that can't move but so fast on incoming traffic. You know, how can you, for example, have one in La Crosse? Do you think it's more chance of having a wreck there than all of those people coming out right there? I mean, there's just no logic to this.
Maybe we can do a roundabout.
Well, maybe it's something's got to happen. But
I agree.
And what they were talking about with the flow of traffic, to me, even if you make the traffic light function during school hours, you know, and in the weekends and stuff, it's not even on. You know, you know, something, a ball game or something like that.
I tell you when it really was driven home for me was at that first ball game. When I left, you know, I went out the main entrance down, I guess what they would call the main entrance, and of course you can't turn left. And so I went down and turned around and came back and then realized that all these folks were coming out of Wagon Wheel and having to go across those lanes to get, and you know, if they were going back towards South Hill, and that's when it hit home for me. I'm like, wow, this is scary.
And you're an advanced driver with many years. I mean, you just deal with all these kids and those slow-moving buses.
Yeah,
seems pretty simple to me. I'm sure there are many more factors into it, but I do believe we need to continue pressing forward. But that's all I have.
I think the buses now, you're making everything go right when it comes out, correct?
Correct. If you come out, the buses will have to go right, and most of the buses in South Hill, Houston, end will go up Baskerville, come out on top of the hill up there, Baskerville Road. That way it keeps them from stacking everything up and being in the intersection.
Right. So they'll go up and come out of Petty's Corner. Which will probably also slow up some of the kids going through there because they're not going to be able to pass the buses.
I guess we just keep writing letters until maybe we get somebody's attention.
That's all I can say.
You know.
So. But I saw it this afternoon. One car was in the intersection turning left. The other one was in the middle of, blocking one full lane on the other side. And literally, if a car had been on the passing lane going west, they'd T-bone. Luckily, 35, everyone could see it, but they were sitting out there, correct, Sheriff? You were there. I mean,
you know. The traffic, I think, the lights have worked the ball games and today, but there's still a handful of cars that came through excessive speed. So, the potential is there.
Yeah. All right.
They were stopped up the road, I can tell you, by blue lights.
All right. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Hargrove.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with what Mr. Wilkerson is saying about the exiting of the new school, and that's you as well. And also, Mr. Nichols, one of the things that he initiated in building a new school is safety and learning. And I think that we are on our way as far as the safety and learning to secure our kids so they won't have to be worrying about the outside coming in. And thank you so much for that. And also, I think it's a smart move, Mr. Wilkerson, to purchase a truck that we can work on locally. I think that's one of the better things, so we won't have to worry about carrying it back to the deal and so forth and waste of time. I think that's a good thing. And as far as our concession stand in the new school, Mr. Brinkley's going to donate 2 cows for hamburgers, so I think thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I think that's the 4th cow you've donated from me in the last month.
He thinning your herd.
Well, rebuttal, Mr. Brinkley?
I get to him another time. Ready for me?
Yes, sir.
Well, like I said, I agree with everything everybody said in the school and all that. And I had the privilege of going down to the first football game and watching it, and that crowd, 2,500 at a football game in Mecklenburg County, and potentially followed up with a 2,000 2,000 more, you know, that can really bring people together right there on a Friday night. Everybody, I think, is looking for somewhere to go. But, you know, I got to thinking about the thing after I left, and you know, I think it's important that we make sure that we have a competitive team on the field, not throwing anything at thing. I think we got a good coach in place, and what I've heard from him, I not really hadn't talked to him, but everything I've heard, it's been really positive and stuff like that. But I left there thinking, you know, what can we do? You know, and I happen to have a grandson that plays football with this Yellow Jacket team in South Hill, and you know, in that program, it's 80 kids down there that is playing football. There's 3 teams, and then there's another 25 cheerleaders that goes along with them. And I think, and I'm not anybody blame. What I'm trying to bring up here is we need to look at something here. I think together, the school board maybe and the board, but right now they practice in South Hill. I think it was a little mix-up, and that with them playing the games earlier, they had to cancel their first 4 or 5 home games because they weren't sure if they could get to Parkview Field. I think the school board has made a decision now, and they can use the field later on. But for them to go up there, I think you got to pay a fee, and then they would, I think, told that they would have to cut the grass and stuff. I think my point is that team, those 3 teams, has got about 5 guys that help coach that, go down there 4 to 5 days a week and give their time every evening, and then every Saturday and do the same thing. They got no way of funding. I talked to several of them. I mean, can y'all imagine what it costs for them to put a football team on the field, uniforms, pads, and all? And I think Mr. Nichols probably tell you what it costs to do a football. But these coaches are pulling out a tremendous amount of money out of their own pocket. And I don't think they got time to go down there and cut the field. And I don't think the county in any way should ask them to go down there. That is the future. I've been very fortunate for the last 40 years to coach youth sports and stuff. And I know what kind of impact it can have on the high school teams and stuff like that and being competitive. But I think we need to really reach out and try to help them in any way, as far as charging them for the field or something, or doing something to give them the right to practice on those fields. They would love to practice the fields. They got sleds and stuff now that they have to chain to the telephone poles down at Central Park, at the park at South Hill. And also it's another team, not to just say South Hill, it's another team, 2 teams in Clarksville. You know where they practice in Borden, Virginia. You know where to practice. And we got 2 fields growing up at Bluestone and Parkview that I don't see why a little more grass cutting and stuff like that we don't tell them, look, y'all use these fields. Because it's going to be, at the end of the day, it's going to help us as a county and all. And we need to do that. And like say, I noticed the softball field, I mean, that's growing up too. And you know, I look at those dugouts and stuff. You know, people donated that. I mean, they gave lumber, they gave brick, time, and stuff like that. I would hate for them to ride by that and see that. And I know I think, if I'm not mistaken, anybody correct me if I'm wrong, I think the group went up to the high school field at Parkview and started working on painting the press box and things like that. And, you know, trying to get things, fixing the fence and stuff like that. But with the time they put in, do we need them to do that? Can we step up a little bit here and help this out? I mean, I don't think it's something we need to talk about next month. I think we need to do something now.
You got any thoughts, Mr. Carter, on what we can do to?
The school board could, I mean, they have a contractor who already cuts their grass and goes out there. They could just instruct them to cut those fields on a weekly basis.
Well, we want to support them as well, because obviously, as has been mentioned, that's the future teams. That's preparing the future teams. There are a number of entities that have already come to me about using the facilities that are not being in place, asking questions about what the plans are. And of course, I've been very frank in saying that the 2 middle schools, as soon as we can get things out of there, we're turning them back over to you, hopefully this fall. They haven't asked about the middle school fields as much as they have more specifically about Parkview. There's cost involved, and what we basically said is we don't want to make anything off of it, but we have to cover the cost because it's not a cost that we budgeted within what we have going on to keep things going. There was some volunteering on the part of the coaches who said we'd be glad to do this part of it. And it is something that it's not just the Yellow Jackets. YMCA is wanting to use the facility at Bluestone. There are other groups that are coming in, churches that are asking to use them. If you open the door for one at no cost, you're in a position you pretty much have to do the same thing for others. So to do this, we're going to need to make some plans about, and except for the fact that we've been as busy trying to get into the new school as we can, so busy, we would have already come together and tried to come up with a cost factor of what it would be costing us for maintenance. I mean, there's trash pickup, there's all types of things that go along with it. Anybody that uses our facilities, and this is including the new facilities that people are interested in using, the cafeterias, the auditorium, there's got to be a certificate, and they have to show that they have liability insurance. That's by our insurance companies and things of that nature. So it can be done, but it will have to be planned, and appropriate costs and fees would have to be considered for those types of things, because somebody's got to keep those things maintained beyond the time that we have them.
Well, aren't we maintaining Bluestone, since that's going to be where the children from
We're
Clarksville
maintaining
is
the
going to be
buildings. We're not trying to maintain the whole, like all of the grassy areas and things of that nature. We want to keep it looking fairly decent, but we're not, and we're maintaining particularly the buildings that the students from Clarksville and Chase City would be using. With roofs, we've talked about roofs, we've talked about other types of things, keeping the water going, trying to make sure that those old sewage systems are going to work appropriately for years to come. You know, all of that takes time and effort and money to be able to work it out. Now, I'm in full agreement with Mr. Brankley, and I think there was some miscommunication to begin with, because they had the certificate of insurance, and I thought we had an agreement on that, but there was some cost. I think it came down to, I think it was $50 a game or $25 a game that we thought would take care of the cost of what we would have to go in and follow up on.
Well, I mean, you know, I understand the budget part, but as a county, I mean, we just spent $500,000 on a trash truck. Can we invest in these 80, 120 youth? I mean, you know, a little bit or something. If we figure what it costs, and if we got to ante that up, I mean, what can we spend our money more on to be any better than
we can actually fund the Yellow Jackets program and whatever the Clarksville. I mean, we can actually fund directly to those programs. We've done it. We've done it for, like, we've sponsored World Series baseball, local baseball teams going to these World Series stuff. I mean, we can do that.
It's my understanding that the town of South Hill has a part of a budget each year for the Yellow Jackets in theirs that they've been supporting some. I don't know what that is. I don't know for sure that's true.
The people I talked to for the South Hill at Parkview, they weren't asking for money. They said, we just want a place we could kind of call a little bit of a home. I don't know what. It's like I asked Wayne. I said, can we work out some? We lease it to them for $1 or something. Think about. I know it's a potential for an industrial park, but is an industrial park, what's more important? If we got a place to provide for these kids and stuff, then because these kids, I can tell you something. I've been out there with them and stuff, and I mean, not practicing them, but I've been around. A lot of them are not financially able. They need to be there, and I think it would be quite an investment to help them in, and then to look forward to go up there and play on that field that that I've heard several other people say it's the best in the state of Virginia. You know, to a little incentive, but I just, we need to kind of stuff. I would like to see us be able to do something to tell them pretty quick, you know, that, hey, if y'all want to practice up there, whatever.
Are you just looking for someone to pay to cut the grass once a week? I guess that's my question.
Can they go up there and practice? I mean, if
that's a Paul question.
That's
been turned over to us.
Could they go up there and for right now practice at Parkview and at Bluestone and play a game and play their games up there, and they may even upkeep it. I mean, but maybe we could still take a little bit, another hour and cut the grass.
We may have arranged with them that they are going to Parkview and they're practicing.
Right, because I know, I asked the guy the other day, because they still practice, I think, in South Hill, but they are willing to go up at, you know, if that's okay. And then maybe, you know, I just want to get them started now, but let's really look at this thing going forward to see what we can do to help them out and whatever we can to, because like I say, if we can put a competitive team on that field, I mean, I think most of us all would be there about every Friday night.
Well, you've got the same situation with all of your athletics. You've got your baseball, your soccer, your football. I mean,
the towns and all have done a pretty good job of providing fields and stuff like that.
Right.
And then if I've coached softball and all. I can go to practice with a bucket of balls and a bat. You know.
Right.
These guys got to have shoulder pads, the whole works.
Right.
And like I say, some of these coaches are making a tremendous sacrifice for these kids, and
right.
I mean, I think we need to step up any way we can to help it.
I agree, and so
do we at least want to start off and say we'll take care of the grass?
Right now, the fields aren't being cut, correct? Is that what you're saying?
I'd have to go back and check to be sure. I think they have been cut, but I'm not sure if
how quick.
Yellow Jackets came up with the way to cut. I think we had paid for the fields to be cut, right?
Right, but I don't think they're cutting it weekly like they would have.
I think they're just trying to keep it from getting.
That's my understanding. They're just trying to keep it knocked down. So I guess your question is, David, if we went and paid Green Acres, I contact Seth and say how much it's going to cost us to cut the fields once a week.
Once a week from now to the end of November.
Need one more cut.
We're talking about 8 weeks. 7, 8 more weeks.
Yeah, grass is going to stop growing in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
8 weeks. For that, and you're saying, I know because when I coached the one in Clarksville, we used the Boykin Park too.
Right.
Okay. And actually, the town of Boykin cuts that.
Right, but
yeah.
So would Paul, is it still a charge to them to use the field each time?
I mean, if the county's going to be that way, I think we want to get something different.
Okay, I mean, I don't think we ought to charge them to practice and stuff.
I don't either.
Use the fields, and if we got to pick up the cost,
I'll contact Seth and we'll get him to bill us.
and to pick up the cost of any other expenses.
We have a contract
because they playing during the day. I mean, it's practicing. I don't think they're cutting no lights on or anything up there. I mean, it's like I don't believe.
I know they did it. You're used to it, Boykin.
Yeah,
but I'll contact Seth because he does our stuff up here also, and get him just to add that to our contract. Okay. He's already cutting over at the convenience center, so we're just going to
right across the street.
Okay.
Mr. Nichols, you comfortable with all
You
this?
good with that,
I mean,
Paul?
it's still your school, so I don't want to step on your toes here. Okay, all right. But I agree with Mr. Brinkley. I think that's important. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as they use may cost them that.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks, Paul.
You're talking about cutting over, I'm not talking about, are they going to continue to maintain the painted field?
I think I know that the South Hill bunch would take, if we say they can use it from now to the rest of the season, if they want to practice, play games and stuff like that, they'll take care of everything. Like I say, I think they already up at doing some painting and stuff like that now. But like I say, if we can get through now and maybe in the future look at something of saying, hey, this y'all can use this, because they got a lot of equipment stuff if they could use that the weight room and stuff. I mean, the places they are not using the weight stuff but a place to store their equipment stuff. They got a lot of equipment and stuff like that. Like I say, they got it chained in at the telephone poles right now at South Hill.
If we could start with that and then have a discussion for long-term plans.
Yeah. Yes, please. That's exactly it. I'll be tickled to death with that.
All right. Very good. Anything else, Mr. Brown?
That's it.
Ms. London?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to say I'm very elated about the new high school, the middle school and the high school. I toured the school and the grounds, and I believe everything come up to par as we had planned. I'm looking forward to the agricultural part now to see that grow. I think that's going to be a highlight of the county since we are farmers here. A lot of us are farmers. I'd like to see that develop in the near future, the agricultural section of the school. About the lights, I've had several people to call me since the last 2 games about the hazard of not having the light up there. they say, what are you all doing up there? Building that big school, and you don't have no light to stop the cars coming in the highway and trucks coming in the highway. So someone's going to have a terrible accident, and then they're going to stick a sign up there, a light up there. They say you need to do it now. Thinking, hey, every night somebody's calling me about a light up there at the school since it has opened. So I think we need to do something about it. I don't know, a resolution to the governor or somebody. Do something. Just keep pushing them. Thank you.
Mr. Tanner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, I'd just like to say is we all thought about it, and Mr. Wilkerson related to about the remembrance of 9/11. I do want to take a minute to thank all our first responders here in the county for all they do, because they do an outstanding job for the citizens here in this county. And also what Mr. Wilkerson said kind of hits home too. You know, at that time we were very united as a country, and we've seemed to have drifted apart since then. And I hope that it doesn't take another tragedy like that to bring us back together. And what you were saying, Mr. Brinkley, I think, as Wayne has commented in the past, one day we're going to be in the Parks and Recs business, whether we want to or not, but we need to do that for the kids. I think we're going to have to look towards that, to have some facilities to be able to allow these kids to get out there and play. New school looks wonderful. I mean, I'm glad the kids are back, and I know they're excited to be there, and it's a big change from the old buildings at Parkview or Bluestone, but I think it's going to be a building that'll take us and serve us well for a long time. And also, I'd like to take a minute to congratulate Mr. Jay Jennings on being appointed to the Tobacco Commission as a Southside producer. I think it's huge to have somebody from our area on that board who can at least express the concerns and the views from people here, because a lot of money rolls through that commission, and you know, to get some of it back here is what we're always working towards. That's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. As y'all know, I'm always trying to promote the Colonial Center in South Hill, and yesterday I had the opportunity to attend a show there put on by Patricia Mahaney. It's Dr. Gramatica's daughter, in case you don't know who she is. And it's amazing the local talent that we have around here. I mean, some of the voices I heard yesterday just make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. I mean, it's just incredible. So I encourage everybody. And Mr. Michael Carter had an Elvis impersonation show. He's done it for several years. And like yesterday, it was, for all practical purposes, it was a sellout. The theater was full. And same happens with Michael Carter when he does his Elvis shows. He's got another one coming up for Christmas, a Christmas Elvis show. But I mean, the local talent that comes in to participate in these shows is just, it's really amazing. So I encourage you to keep, and I look forward to our new school with that beautiful auditorium that seats, what, 1,400 people? 1,200 people, the kind of shows that we may have an opportunity to have there. And so, anyway, I encourage you to support all of our local theaters. We've got a theater, I think it was one in Chase City and one in Clarksville. So all of our local theaters, I mean, this local talent, it's amazing. So anyway, all right, so we do need to go into closed session to discuss solar siting agreements. So can I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion to go into closed session. All in favor say aye. Aye. We are now back in open session. Motion to certify closed session. We have a motion to certify closed session. Y'all get all that? Judy, Denny?
Just pick somebody.
We have a motion to certify closed session. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, next month, could I make a motion?
Yes, you may.
Okay, they got them all this time.
But we were wondering why you were sitting over there.
Everything kind of tilted this way.
I was sitting over